Minasan, welcome back for another round of MechWarrior BattleTech research. Another viewer recommended video. Vickrel65, a big fan of the show, offered up another recommendation. This is from Big Red-40TECH. We have visited Big Red-40TECH the first time, checking out one of the first mechs. I believe it was the Shiro, if I remember correctly. I've probably forgotten. I'm old. Don't hurt me. Let me yell at the clouds. So this video is called BattleTech. What is a clan Omnimech? Something that I needed to learn from the last video when dealing with covering the clans. Screw up with the Mad Cat, the ultimate weapon in the universe, made of random parts. Gonna find out what the Omnimech is all about, that the clans hold and revere so hard that they keep falling for Alexander Steiner's little tricks, and then share my thoughts. So this is call to action. Comment, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification button, and let us begin the research. You'll find the links to Big Red-40TECH down below.
One of the biggest changes in the history of mech warfare. In 3049, the soldiers of the Inner Sphere would encounter forces with technology that far outstripped their own, with the ability to destroy their forces from further away, and with far more frightening weapons. These predatory creations stalked from one planet to another, destroying everything in their path. But what made them so unstoppable? In this, we will be examining the fundamentals of clan technology as a whole, and the game-changing Omnimech technology. To start with, the Inner Sphere are descended from the original Star League Defense Forces, which had departed in a great exodus after the destruction of the Star League as an institution and before the outbreak of the First Succession War. While these people would suffer greatly in their own way, living with frontier life, civil war, and eventually the establishment of the clans as the final successor to the Star League through the final Pentagon War, these setbacks were nothing compared to the violence that would appear in the Inner Sphere by contrast. After these events, with the added result of competition between the clans and a lack of wholesale destruction of industry and research facilities, the clans would advance technologically while the Inner Sphere regressed and stagnated. When they first appeared, they were almost alien to their spheroid counterparts, and certainly far more advanced. The most remarkable thing any clan mech possesses, whether it is an Omnimech or traditional mech, is their extremely advanced offensive
What game
systems.
is this?
It was both incredibly shocking to those in the Inner Sphere, and to the players of the game when they first appeared. Clan weapons are lighter, shoot further, and do more damage than their Inner Sphere counterparts, and this opens up an immense array of options for them. This means that clan tech weapons just flatly provide people with a better return on tonnage investment in almost every instance. To give an idea of what I'm talking about, I'll provide a few examples relevant to the timescale we're talking about. One of the best things off the top of my head is the Clan LRM system. A Clan LRM-20 without any additional components, such as an Artemis or ammunition, has a weight value of 5 tons when mounted in a battle mech. By contrast, an Inner Sphere LRM-20 weighs 10 tons for the exact same function and system. This means lighter clan mechs can be equipped with much heavier missile packages, as this math is also similar for SRM systems as well, and this is just what impacts missile systems. To illustrate further in the category of energy systems, we can look at the Clan ER Large Laser, a horrifying system if there ever was one. It weighs 4 tons, so 4/5 of the Inner Sphere's ER Large Laser. It generates the exact same heat and deals 25% more damage. In addition to this, its range is dramatically longer.
Oh, look at that.
25 hexes versus the Inner Sphere's 19.
First of all, this is freaking awesome that he's giving examples through the video game how this works. Brilliant. I like to see more of this, please. You know what I'm saying? Explaining how the mechs work through the lens of a video game as an example. Like it's pretty awesome. You know what I'm saying? Look at the lasers. Look at that. and and the mech is moving 81 kilometers per hour. That, I believe that's 50 miles, around 50, 55. Mathematicians, let me know. Let me know. Look at the output. Dang. Dang, I really like the HUD display here. It's very Gundam-like. Very Gundam-like.
Better in every measurable way, even in terms of critical space inside the mech, with a clan large laser only taking up a single critical slot versus the Inner Sphere's 2. The same thing applies to other systems as well, whether it be Gauss rifles or autocannons. Clan weapons tend to be more reliable, hit harder, weigh less, take up less space, and often go further as well. Even in the cases where they don't do all of these things, they'll at least do some of these things. The reason why most Inner Sphere pilots want this technology, despite their disdain for their clan counterparts, is because it frankly yields the best results.
Oh,
weapons,
I get
the
it.
advanced systems clan mechs have access to also offer similar fantastical results. To keep things simple, I'll just take a look at a few examples. Armored plating on a clan battle mech when using ferrofibrous armor offers extra protection per ton, namely 19 points instead of the Inner Sphere's 18 points per ton. But in addition to this, it also takes up significantly less critical space, namely only 7 critical versus the Inner Sphere's 14. The same thing can be seen in Endo Steel, where Clan Endo Steel takes up 7 critical, and Inner Sphere Endo Steel takes up 14. Inner Sphere mechs, in an attempt to save weight with some of these systems, will take up significantly more critical space to the point where it may limit the weapon systems that they may put on board. The clan mechs do not experience this same problem. The most extreme example I can give is the Clan XL engine. While both kinds of XL save the same weight, Clan XL engines only put 2 critical in each side torso, rather than the Inner Sphere's 3. This may not seem to be insurmountable, but it is more dramatic than it appears. 3 engine hits will disable a mech regardless of their origin. When a clan mech loses a torso due to an ammunition explosion or due to outstanding damage, it will cause the mech severe problems and potentially jeopardize the mech's survival. But by contrast, should the same thing happen to an Inner Sphere mech, the mech is destroyed for all intents and purposes on the battlefield.
Oh,
Systems as
I
well,
see.
not covered here, from targeting systems to other armor types, or even heat sinks, or to ECM and probes. But needless to say, clan mechs either spend less weight or critical to get the same results, or better.
I get it. I think I get it. I hope I got it. So the two engines, even though there is a disadvantage against 3 engine mechs, the 2 engine mechs, while it can take severe damage if they're lost, the mech is still salvageable. Like, they can salvage the lost mech. Whereas the Inner Sphere, because it's a 3 engine, if they lose the mech, it'll be very difficult for them to salvage it. If I'm understanding that correctly, from what he said, that's a very, very big advantage to have, and I could totally see why the Inner Sphere definitely would want that. I could see that. Because anytime you could be able to salvage and repurpose the parts instead of losing them forever and have to rebuild and build an entirely new one, rather than being able to repair the current ones. Yeah, I could see that. That is definitely a very, very big advantage technology-wise.
What is Omnimech technology, though, and why is it important? First, let's take a look at a standard battle mech and configuration. When a standard mech is constructed in a factory, whether it be clan or Inner Sphere, it walks out of the assembly line with its chosen weapons and component configurations. Whatever is installed, and should changes need to be made, such as refits or even relatively extensive repairs, these mechs need to go through a major series of procedures to make that happen, and it can become prohibitively expensive depending on what's being done. Someone who acquires a King Crab and wants to switch out their AC-20s for Gauss rifles will potentially find a series of major hindrances, issues, and costs to make that happen. And all of this assumes that there is the technical know-how to perform this task, and even then, it will also depend on if there is enough time to perform this kind of refit. Omnimechs largely solve this problem. First invented by Clan Coyote during the golden century of the clans, this technology would begin to appear among the clans, and would eventually become the standard for frontline mech units. While their second-line units may use standard clan mechs, at least until more recent times, their frontline mechs, especially up until the clan invasion, were given heavy preference to use advanced Omnimech designs. The reason this is done is simple from the clan perspective. Instead of building weapons and multiple systems into the battle mech, there are a series of omnipod spaces and the overall weight limit of the design. This means that when a Timberwolf walks out of the factory, it has no set weapons on board. It has empty slots for different systems.
Oh!
These systems are typically not set into a single type. To be clear, it does have a base of components. Its internal structure, engine,
Right.
certain basic
All the
heat sinks,
things.
and other potential items that can be a part of the baseline mech that cannot be changed with ease necessarily. The interchangeable parts are typically simply listed as pod space.
Like a video game. Almost like a video game. I know it's a game. I know BattleTech and MechWarrior is a war game. But it's like what I saw in the HUD in the video game that he exemplified, showing the specific parts: the left side, the right side, left arm, left leg, right leg, body, chassis, all that stuff. No different. It definitely. That's pretty cool that they applied that in a narrative sense. That the Omnimech has customizable slots, and you can just put anything you want on there, so long as it's within weight parameters and so on, when fitted in. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Omnimech is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Whereas with the Inner Sphere, everything is set in stone, and if you want to replace it, then you got to go through months of procedural operations and high costs. Here, they could probably just pick up. My gosh, like the orcs, they probably could just pick up a freaking gun, hook it up to the slot, some random gun, hook it up to the slot, and then continue on. Like, for example, if he loses that left arm there, you know what I'm saying? He'll just pop the pod off, grab another weapon, just slap it back in. I know I'm sure that's not possible, but the principle, it's the principle I'm talking about.
One example of a pod variant of the same chassis, a mech may use a gauze rifle on it, but it may choose to switch that out for an LRM-20 in the same space. So long as the critical space is available and the pods are preloaded and pre-configured for installation, they can simply be swapped in. This can be done extraordinarily quickly by comparison to its standard counterparts. Whereas a standard mech may take days or weeks to modify, an Omnimech may take hours. Even when it comes to repairs, the ease of replacement helps. Should an SRM-6 be mauled by the enemy in battle, the technician simply slot it out of the mech before slotting in the replacement launcher,
Wow.
provided the damage doesn't go too far into the mech.
Right.
As long as the Omnipods are available to install into the mech, and will be easily swapped into and installed on these machines. This also means they can be made ready for battle after some engagements very quickly as well, giving them an excellent turnaround time to the battlefield. Now, this isn't to say there aren't disadvantages.
Right.
Omnimechs are significantly more expensive compared to their standardized counterparts, and Omnipods are needed to actually outfit the mechs appropriately. If there is none to hand, any installed weapon system can take just as long to install and take out as the same standard mech, in fact, perhaps longer. This can also have an impact on supply chains and additional impacts on cost. Able to be refit, repaired, and re-equipped faster than their Inner Sphere rivals may be an advantage during an ongoing campaign where losses and damage are minimal. But as the clans would find out, these mechs are extremely costly to wholly replace, and once they ran into stiff, consistent resistance with increasingly capable supply lines, this can have an impact of just grinding down these luxury battle mechs as a force. Clan BattleMechs and Clan Omnimechs in particular represent the peak of military technology in the 31st century, and would still be the peak into the 32nd century, albeit with significantly more competition. These machines are feared among even the most battle-hardened warriors and will, when piloted and commanded correctly, bring about decisive outcomes on any battlefield where they are put, even in a losing effort. They are the best of the best, and will only be outdone by skill, cunning, or raw quantities of material superiority, as the clans discovered in the 31st century.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me here today.
They're BattleTech's version of Gundams. That's the best way I could put it. They're the Gundams of this universe. For those who may not be in the know, Mobile Suit Gundam is a very popular Japanese anime series created by Yoshiyuki Tamino. Guys, by Tomono-san. There we go. By Tomono-san. by Tomono-san, and basically it's the state of the art, very powerful mechs that was created to counter the opposing enemies' mechs. From the country of Zeon, the Earth Federation created these mechs called Gundams to counter fight the Zaku's that are run by Zeon, that was the invading force. Because the mechs that they were piloting, the Zaku's were like state of the art and everything, and they were just outclassing the Earth Federation, so they created their own thing. So that's the best way I can give an analogy to, is because that's what the Omnimechs feel like. If by same principle, the inner sphere mechs are very standardized. They're highly standardized. They go through a very specific configuration, and then it's locked in. And in order to reconfigure it, they have to go through a massive process that will take lots of time and would be very costly. And to make matters worse, the mech could be lost forever due to the fact that it operates on 3 engines. The Omnimech, on the other hand, runs on 2 engines and has pods rather than a fixed standardized setup. So it comes out bare bones, like just a chassis, engines, all that stuff, and then the pilot can put whatever the pilot wants into the Omnimech, however they desire, and you end up with a mech that fires lasers. Give me freaking lasers! I want sharks with freaking lasers on their heads. Who wouldn't want a laser on their mechs' heads? And as I had pointed out, as you can see in the top right, it has all the specifics of the slots there, left, right, front, back, front and rear, and then you see what the load is, what the loadout is down on the bottom right, like that, and then you got the mapping system, and so on, and how the damage is done. So I actually like the way that is set up. So basically, the clans definitely want to the clans are definitely, while at a great advantage, they are also at a disadvantage because it is very costly. For that, from their point of view, it would be very costly because they're not exactly a rich country like Kurita is, or Steiner. They don't have the amount of wealth needed to be able to maintain these powerful mechs. So they got to err on the side of caution. That means that they got to be as efficient and accurate as possible in defeating the enemy and minimize as much damage as possible, because they can always replace the part. The inner sphere cannot. The second they lose a weapon, they can't just pop it off and then replace it on the fly. There is some great disadvantages for the clans, and that's a good balance for having a very, very for what is pretty much a near overpowered mech. And of course, having the backstory that is a coveted one helps out on the story end, which is pretty good. which is pretty good on the story end. And it's very well balanced out by the fact that the clans are either too dumb to realize that Alexander Steiner is tricking them, or they they had their supply chains thinned out, so, at times, among other things, including the costs, because it's still costly, financially, it's very expensive to build. So they got to make sure that they're extra careful. They don't lose the mech as a whole. Like, if they can run away losing only one pod, they'll run away with one pod lost. And they can always replace the pod either through the supply line or just retreating or in full retreat and can come back and fight another day. And that's a great advantage that they have, but it's also a great disadvantage because they're never going to get gains. If they can't, be able to successfully occupy land and, or stay united, because there's different clans, just multiple different clans. If they can't stay united, let their ideologies get in the way and such, or get blinded by one of the Steiners and goaded into a ridiculous, unnecessary battle, then the Omnimechs will mean nothing in terms of its power, and it could fall into the hands of the Inner Sphere, who coveted it a lot. I gotta say that's a pretty good solid story. At the very least, the clans are not, it's very well balanced. Saying, because they're not exactly good, but they got the best weapons. If the Inner Sphere is after their weapons, that means that they got the good stuff. But they just have their political and ideological internal issues, and the fact that they can get goaded so easily at times can get in the way too. So they're pretty balanced out. I really do like the idea of the Omnimech. I like that customization and all that. I find that to be a very fun device. I would love to pilot something like that. No, I wouldn't pilot like that. I'll probably die. I don't want to get blown up. So, once again, this was very good. Big thanks to Big Red-40TECH for the video. Thank you very much for the video. Links again, once again, down in the comments below. And that was BattleTech. What is the clan Omnimech? Very good, very good. Big thanks again to VicRule65 for recommending this video. Now I got a good idea of the Omnimechs next time I see them. I hear one of the stories and maybe something awesome will come out of it. Like they popped out a whole weapon and grabbed another one and just shoved it in like Gurren Lagann. Just random stuff and just blasting people away. Alright, head on over to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links to the book down in the description below, along with links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Enjoy the products. Thank you for your patronage. And if you happen to have a copy of The Impossible Man and did a YouTube video on it, thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and analysis on it. And if you're interested, you can join me in my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do Japanese studies, lore research, gaming, and more. I look forward to hanging out with you. So until the next round of MechWarrior BattleTech research, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.